So, hello everyone, welcome to today's interview, and we've got Jeremy Sylvester, aka Strictly Dubs, Club Asylum, part of G.O.D as well, and running the label Urban Dubz and many other aliases and a real big catalogue of music. So hello and welcome. And I guess, what was your first sort of encounter with speed garage? How did you get into making it, and how did that all come about?
Yeah, I mean, I started off making early jungle. So when I was doing that, it was kind of off the back of the whole hardcore race era. And when I started making jungle, it wasn't even called jungle. It was like, there was no name for it. It was like, you know, we used to call it ragga ghetto tech or ragga techno. We didn't know what it was because we was like, I was just sampling just reggae samples and just throwing bits in. So I came from that background of like that whole jungle movement. And when I moved to London, because I'm originally from Birmingham, you know, I hooked up with Nice and Right, the label. But you know, I'm a house head anyway. So it's like, I was doing a lot of house stuff, you know, which were quite bumpy, kind of, you know, I was very much influenced by the early kind of US Master at Work and, you know, all those kind of Todd Terry, early Todd Terrys and Armand Van Houten's and all that. So, you know, the 4/4 stuff, naturally, when I started doing it, it had very much like a jungle influence in there anyway. So, you know, I used to like just sample a lot of like bits from early jungle records in there, you know, 808 basses and stabs and just mad little sounds, just putting it all in. And like, you know, it was kind of my early kind of speed garage stuff was like, it was very much like, yeah, it was kind of, I used to call it jungle house, you know what I mean? It was like, it was like, I didn't know what to call it, but it would kind of fit in within the house vibe that what we was doing with Nice and Right. And then, you know, off the back of that, really, the whole kind of speed garage movement started to come in, and you know, I kind of slotted myself into that scene. That's how I started off, really.
Oh, that's cool. Because yeah, I definitely noticed a lot of like the speed garage producers had other aliases and working in jungle, so there's definitely a lot of crossover in that. So that's really cool. What was the first speed garage track you made? Do you remember? Where you were like, yeah, that is that sound.
Well, if a lot of my stuff I was doing with Nice and Right, the early stuff, right? Because one of my pseudonyms was called Deep Cover Ink, and a lot of the tracks, the early tracks on there, I would say it started from there, but you know. And then later on, I kind of, as the speed garage thing kind of came more present, I kind of like, you know, I focused on like, you know, on aliases like Strictly Dubs. I kind of took over from the whole G.O.D series as well, which kind of went down that speed garage route as well, at the back of that. And so yeah, that's, I would say, yeah, it's probably the early deep cover ink stuff, and then off the back of that, G.O.D really.
Yeah, no, that's cool. So I guess, yeah, other than like jungle and house, were there any sort of other influences you were like?
Yeah, well, I was influenced by a lot of music. You know, I came from a very musical family. So my dad was like in a disco band.
Oh, amazing.
Disco, soul and funk. So I grew up on that. You know, I grew up on soca music because you know my family's from like Grenada. So it's like, you know, always had that kind of 4/4, you know, that's kind of soca vibe. And, you know, so that's where I come from, really. Yeah, that's so very much influenced by that. But I listen to all kinds of music. I listen to rock. I listen to classical. I listen to like jazz, and you know, I listen to the most weirdest like Japanese stuff as well, like just out there stuff. Anything, man. I'm very like, I'm open to music in whatever form, really.
That's amazing. Yeah, and I guess like coming from a musical house, like you've got that instilled in you, so that's really cool.
Definitely.
And what was like your studio setup back in the day? Like, what were your key pieces of equipment, and how has like your setup changed over the years? As like obviously the technology has come a long way.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, I mean, I started off. How I started off making music was my dad had a studio. He had a Atari ST, and we was running this software called Notator. And then from there, especially when I moved to London now, I started working with Nice and Right. Then I I started off using Atari there as well, but then I kind of went on to more the kind of PCs and laptops, and then basically went into to Logic. Basically, I started using Logic. I was just using my main thing really was because I love drums, so I love making drums. So I had I had early drum machines, like an 808 drum machine. I had a 999 drum machine, a 303, and the early MPC 60s and the MPC 3000 drum machines. So I used to make a lot of my stuff on there as well. All the drums and the programming, all the song arrangements and stuff. Just throwing samples in there, put it across the pads, and just mash it up, man.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Have you still held on to any of them? Have you got any of your original bits?
Well, I've got a couple of them, yeah. A couple of them got stolen,
Oh,
or lost somehow. But yeah, I still use MPCs at the moment, but more the newer MPCs. At the moment, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And I guess what were your sort of key nights that you were going to, and that influence your sound as well? What were the parties like? Who were the key DJs as well?
Oh, okay. I would say especially when I moved to London. Okay, when I was in Birmingham, I used to go out a little bit, but not so much. But it's only when I moved to London that I started really going out and hooking up with people like Carl Toffler Brown, who kind of took me under his ring a little bit, because I used to give him all the exclusive tracks and dub plates, and then I just wanted to hear how it sounded in the club. So I used to go along with him, all the clubs he was doing, like Twice as Nice, Cookies and Cream, and all those kind of, all those little clubs under the archways in London, whatever, all over London and outside London. So that's how I kind of, I got into the club scene from that, really. I wasn't really DJing. I was just making music, and I was quite happy doing that. The DJ for me come later on. Later on, really. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. What made you take the leap to start DJing then?
You know what? I got a taste for it, and I thought, actually, people asking me to DJ all the time. I thought, okay, all right. And I started playing, and people asking me to play my own tunes to begin with. And I felt a bit funny playing my own tunes. You know what I mean? It's just me in my head. But I started playing, and I see the reaction of people in the clubs and stuff, and I was like, you know what? I can get into this. I started really, really enjoying it. So I've probably been DJing now for the past, say, 8 years, only 8, 9 years maybe. So not that long, really.
Yeah, that's cool. And I guess you've got a massive range of music to fall back on as well, productions as well. So that's
absolutely
good. What do you think makes a good record then? Because you've obviously got a knack for it. So what would you say are key elements that stand out to you?
Oh, well, I don't know. It's just I hate using the word vibe, but I'm gonna use it.
Nothing else.
Vibe, it's just something that when you hear it within the first 2 bars, you're like, you know what, you can just hear yourself listen to it over and over again. You just can't explain it. It's just a good vibe, good drums, good solid drums, good beat, good groove to it, and the simpler the better, really, as well. I think as well, just keeping it really simple, man.
Yeah,
just vibey. Yeah,
the key elements then.
Yeah.
So what would you say are some of your favorite speed garage tracks of all time?
I don't know, actually. I just kind of I like the stuff that I used to like a lot of the Armand van Helden stuff and all that, and what he was doing. I was very much influenced by even early Todd Terry as well. I used to kind of delve into that kind of side of things as well. When it comes to names, I don't really know, to be honest with you. I just kind of, because I wasn't really buying records. I used to buy records just to kind of get ideas and whatnot. I wasn't really buying it to play. But yeah, I'm pretty much. I like pretty much what was going on generally around and stuff. So
yeah, and you said that you were buying records to get influences from them. Were you using them to sample from as well then?
Yeah, I was sampling quite a lot. I mean, you couldn't get away with that nowadays. But yeah, I was sampling, from anything and anything, man. And it could be a snare drum from a jungle record, or a hi-hat from some other speed garage record. I mean, everyone was doing it. It was just a thing to do. So I used to buy records just to sample bits and bobs and get inspired and hear the sounds and see how they're layering it and stuff, and compare the quality and all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
No, that's cool. And with your productions, you have so many aliases. What was that? Because I guess there was more of a culture of it back then, like to have a lot of aliases, but like what was the reason behind that?
Well, when I was, I was working for Nice and Right pretty much full time. I was the in-house engineer, and like, you know, because I worked so quickly as well, it's like, you know, we was just churning out music on a weekly basis. You know, I mean, Nice and Right, underneath Nice and Right label, they had, obviously, as you know, different labels, you know, Zest for Life, Deep Trouble, da 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 da. But like, we just couldn't keep up with the demand of like putting out stuff under the same name. So for me, you know, for us, it was like kind of like, we didn't want to put everything under one name, or, you know what I mean? So we had different styles. We had more bass style, we had some stuff with a bit more kind of bumpy, we had stuff with a bit more two-steppy, or, you know what I mean? So had all these different names for different things, really. But it was more to do with the fact that it was just the output, the amount of music that was putting out on a weekly basis. We just felt we just couldn't put it all under one name. We just thought we would just flood the market with it, you know what I mean? So
that must have been some crazy work, right?
Yeah, no, it was ridiculous. I mean, if you look on Discogs, that doesn't even show half of it. You know what I mean? It's like basically there was a lot of like bootlegs and stuff. You know, little side maneuvers. But yeah, so that's probably the main reason why I had so many different names, man. Yeah,
that was good. I guess like so there are a lot of records that have never like seen the light of day that you've produced.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, you know, I was going through my DATs the other day. I was finding DATs like, oh yeah, wow, I haven't seen that DAT for ages. But I ended up going through it and finding tracks that I've done. Like, it's just like, at the time I didn't think it was ready, so I thought, nah, I'll leave it. So I've got a lot of tracks like that, a lot of unreleased stuff.
Yeah.
And when I listen back to it now, I'm thinking, wow, you know, that could actually work now, you know. So eventually down the line, I'm going to be releasing some of it on vinyl and some of it on digital as well. So, but
what was like some of the most fun tracks that you've like made over the years? Like any collaborations and stuff that you've particularly enjoyed?
Yeah, I mean, I do love collaborating with people, and I think my best tracks, me personally, that are tracks that I've worked with people like you know, I used to record under the name of Dub Syndicate, and Dub Syndicate was me and a guy called Paul Benjamin. So we've done a lot of great stuff together, and obviously the Club Asylum stuff as well. The early Club Asylum stuff was me and a guy called Paul Emmanuel, who I met through Nice and Right. We started making tracks together, and you know, we had a nice little chemistry, you know.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think those are probably some of my best tracks, you know, as far as like, you know, I actually still play them to this day, you know.
Yeah, no, that's cool that you still like reach for them as well.
Yeah,
the test of time, that's cool. And as well, like a lot of your tracks don't have like particularly fast tempos. Like, was this a conscious decision or just like a stylistic choice sort of thing?
Yeah, I guess stylistic choice, maybe, I don't know, maybe because you know, like I said before, like I've got very much a house background as well, so I was kind of, you know, because at first when the garage thing kind of started to come in, I was, you know, especially with the two-step, I wasn't really feeling it because I don't know, I just felt like it was too much away from what I was used to. But over time, and as you know, as the music developed, you know, I started getting into it and stuff, and we started making it, and that's how we started doing the Club Asylum stuff and whatnot. And then, you know, we just kind of developed, and you know, the rest is history, as I say. But yeah, I still kind of kept it with, you know, the bumpier stuff, you know, between like 128 and also 127 and 130 BPM with the 4/4 stuff, and then with the two-step stuff, maybe a little bit quicker, like 132, you know.
In terms of like stuff you're working on now, like, could you give us like an overview of like future projects and what to expect?
Yeah, you know, right now I'm very much concentrating on a lot of the Club Asylum stuff again. We're kind of relaunching it. Not relaunching, it's always been there, but like kind of really now just starting to work with some really credible artists at the moment. And there's one in particular, this girl called Kezia Soul.
Okay.
She's quite well known in Birmingham and the Midlands. She was on The Voice not so long back,
Nice.
and so we did some great stuff together, and some other people as well. So yeah, Chronic Stone, you know, and you know, there's other things in the department I can't really say too much about. but yeah, we're just, you know, some really, really interesting stuff, man. Really good quality, you know, stuff with the Club Asylum. And also, you know, I'm still doing my bits and bobs by my own label, which is more geared towards the 4/4 kind of, call it garage house, that kind of, you know, versus 90s inspired bumpy house, whatever you want to call it, you know what I mean? So I'm still on that tip very much, yeah.
Oh, that's cool. And yeah, it's been like great to see like some of your most sought after tracks getting reissued over the years. What was kind of like your reason for doing this, like bringing it back?
You know what? It's just a lot of people have been asking me for years and years and years and years and years and years. Like, I swear, like every week, like, Jay, you need to put this out, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, Jay, you know, I've seen this guy's, you know, your track's selling for like 200, 300 pounds. Like, what? I'm like, okay, well, you know, maybe there's a demand for it. I didn't know. So it's like, you know what? So I started to put it out, just limited vinyl, really. Not for the money, just to put it out, just for, you know, just to people just love the music, and you know, I love sharing it, really, pretty much. Yeah.
No, that's cool. And I guess because like, yeah, garage has sort of kind of made a bit of a comeback recently, like over the last few years, and with garage house as well. And so it's cool that, you know, you can like bring it back to be fresh in sort of like younger generations' minds as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, you got people like, you know, Perception, and you know, I-Rise, Conductor, all those guys there, man. I really rate them, man. And you know, some of them see me as like their kind of like influence as well, which is great. You know, which actually spurs me on as well. So it's nice to that they're kind of like, you know, keeping it real basically, and just basically just doing what they're doing, and you know, they're not trying to conform to any, you know, just doing what they love, and keeping it underground, man. You know what I'm saying, at the end of the day, you know.
I know, that's cool. And yeah, I've been asked to ask you about Watch Your Bass Bins, and was that you that produced that one?
Oh yes, that's right, yeah.
And because it's quite a big tune in Leeds, especially, like it's got a like special place in our hearts, sort of thing. And just kind of like what kind of influence do you make in that track, and like, did you know it would be a banger?
Nah, you know what? It was just like, I actually remember making it. It was like, I think I was just hearing a lot of Van Halen stuff, and I think it was around about the time, you know, just the whole Speed Go just kind of hitting the charts as well, and all that kind of stuff. And then I just thought, you know what, I'm sort of going there and just throwing bits and bobs, man. Just throwing samplers from records that I love, and you know, and just trying to keep it vibey. Especially with the breakdowns, it's quite rave orientated as well, and like even the bass line as well is actually inspired by an old like rave record.
Okay, yeah.
I can't remember the name of the track, but it's actually the actual bass line and the sound is actually inspired from that. So I kind of, you know, I just thought, let's just try it and to see what happens. I didn't know how it was going to turn out. It was just on the track. I felt good about it, and yeah, rest is history, man. We've done quite well with that.
No, it came together really well. It's a slamming track. Yeah, thanks so much for doing this, and it's been great talking to you.
Yeah, pleasure.
No, that's wicked. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.